So I was supposed to be on vacation this week doing some home projects and all kinds of things popping off, and got the latest status updates and cases against the Illinois gun magazine and registry, all being, the ban and the registry implemented January 10th, and you've got the registry that opened up October 1st, and clearly having some of the hearings recently with the Illinois State Police. Some problems and questions still arise. We've been airing those 3 different hearings, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so I appreciate everybody who tuned into that. And clearly there were some technical issues that Illinois State Police had in even trying to get people to have their questions be heard. People saw that clearly in the WebEx documents that were directly from Illinois State Police and those files, those video files. So clearly there's going to be ongoing questions there, as we've got, a month and a half before the January 1st deadline kicks in. But there are attempts to try to keep that January 1st deadline from even being implemented. We'll touch on that here in a moment, but just to recap, last segment we talked with State Representative Dan Calkins, who in front of the U.S. Supreme Court has gotten his case docketed, and that case is coming from the Illinois Supreme Court. So that happened yesterday. He's challenging that on questions of conflict of interest after the 2 Illinois Supreme Court justices as candidates got $1 million each from Governor J.B. Pritzker, let alone 6-figure donations from the Speaker of the House of Illinois, and even the Senate President having a political action committee giving donations. So the state has until December 14th to respond to that case in the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court's been asked before to take up different challenges out of Naperville, and you've got actually now the latest being the Naperville plaintiffs seeking to have the appeals court take up that case. So here you've got, and we talked about this last week, Thomas Magg for the Langley plaintiffs, taking an en banc challenge to the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. And again, step back a moment, right? So the Calkins case was in state court, right? That went to Macon County, and they got a favorable ruling out of Macon County, and then the state appealed that right to the Illinois Supreme Court. In August, the Illinois Supreme Court sided with the state, saying Calkins didn't make his case. But that's after Calkins had a motion of recusal being denied by the 2 justices in the entire Illinois Supreme Court. So again, that case was in August, and Calkins this week getting the U.S. Supreme Court to take that up. But there were separate cases in federal courts in the Southern District of Illinois and also in the Northern District of Illinois, federal court, different from state court. So the Southern District cases got a favorable preliminary injunction against the law by Judge Stephen McGlynn. Consolidated cases. The Langley case, the State Rifle Association case, Federal Firearms Licensees of Illinois, and the 4th plaintiffs group in there as well in the Southern District. So they got a preliminary injunction back in late April. In the Northern District, you had several cases challenging the Naperville ban and the Chicago ban and the state ban. Northern District judges sided with the state and local governments in that case. So those then went to the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, where they heard that in late June, and they didn't release an opinion until a few weeks ago, more than 4 months after hearing that. But before they actually heard that, the Naperville plaintiffs asked the U.S. Supreme Court to take up the case, if you recall that storyline. But when the 7th Circuit consolidated the cases, they put it on a rocket docket signaling to the U.S. Supreme Court, hey, we're handling this. So the U.S. Supreme Court denied that motion to take up the Naperville case. So ultimately, the 7th Circuit ruling, as they did a few weeks ago, and now you've got that 3-judge panel that made that ruling. You've got plaintiffs asking for the entire appeals court panel to take that up. So Attorney Thomas Magg filed that on the 8th of November, and we did review that, but you also have now this week as well the plaintiffs from the Naperville case, Robert Beavis and Law Weapons and others, filing a request for en banc appeal, and that's going to be in front of the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. So the latest there, but you also have in district court a couple of different happenings. Of course, Thomas Magg not only taking his case en banc to the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. He's also back in the Southern District. No update there. And this was on the vagueness challenge, if you recall. That vagueness challenge says that the law is too vague to enforce. So Magg took his case back to the Southern District in front of Judge Stephen McGlynn, who gave that preliminary injunction, and they heard that case back in October, if you recall. So that case is still pending, with Judge Stephen McGlynn not yet issuing an order in the Southern District case. So we've been waiting for that now for almost a month. After the hearing last month. So we'll see what happens with Judge Stephen McGlynn in Mag's case on vagueness. But it wasn't just Mag who went back to the Southern District of Illinois. You've also got the federal firearms licensees of Illinois who have their case back in front of the Southern District. And yesterday, the federal judge, Stephen McGlynn, denied the state's motion for delaying their response. Now, this is interesting how this all worked out, because back to the 7th Circuit, what you had happen was federal firearms licensees of Illinois, they went back to the Southern District case after still waiting for the 7th Circuit, right? So this is like 3 or 4 weeks ago. You had the 7th Circuit still sitting on their case, and federal firearms licensees of Illinois and other plaintiffs groups, they ultimately went back to the Southern District and said, we want to amend our complaint because this firearms registry is ongoing, and the January 1st deadline's around the corner. It's being done by emergency rules. There's not proper due process. There hasn't been proper notification. There's still outstanding questions. This is too vague. It's, you know, the plaintiffs here are going to be harmed if they don't have an injunction on the January 1st deadline to register or face criminal penalties, including up to a Class 3 felony if they're found out of compliance, which the compliance rate so far, 5 weeks in, now 6 weeks in, it's what, 0.14% of firearm owner identification card holders. So not even a full half a percentage point of FOID card holders telling state police that they have some kind of banned item. So clearly there's a lot still happening in that regard. So the federal firearms licensees of Illinois, they went back to the Southern District Judge, Stephen McGlynn, and they filed their motion for an amendment to their complaint, which was granted. And that amendment was granted, and the state has until January 31st to reply to that amended complaint. But then you had a motion for a preliminary injunction that was being set to be filed, and it was going to be filed earlier this month. But then you had the appeals court drop their ruling, and that kind of gummed things up a bit. So the plaintiffs, the federal firearms licensees, before they actually filed their preliminary injunction motion to halt the gun ban registry until this gets sorted out, you had the appeals court drop their ruling. So now, after they regrouped, the plaintiffs in the Southern District for Federal Firearms Licensees of Illinois have now made that motion for a preliminary injunction. So that motion has been filed, all right? And you've got Todd Vandermeide even filing a declaration there. And then you have the court directing a response. And that response is due here very soon. So you've got a preliminary injunction response by the 1st. All right, December 1st is when the judge set the deadline for that. But there was a motion to extend the time that the state filed in the Southern District, which you see yesterday, Judge Stephen McGlynn denying that motion for a delay in responding to the federal firearms licensees' motion for preliminary injunction. And you've got a status conference that's going to be held on the 21st of this month. So could there be an injunction against the state's gun ban registry in the Southern District? It's a question that, of course, we asked the plaintiffs' groups, and we'll be tracking this. So there's been a lot of moving pieces in just the past 48 hours when it comes to Illinois' gun and magazine ban. And I was on vacation doing some home projects here, and I had to peel away from that so I could get you guys the very latest on this. So greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, be sure to check out the channel. I think I'm going to be doing a live stream in the evening hours tomorrow. I might actually do a live commentary of the documentary I produced like 12 years ago called Gun-Free Zone, the movie. And that's about Illinois getting the right to keep and bear arms, because Illinois is one of the only states back over a decade ago that had no carry law. And after several Supreme Court rulings saying, no, you can't do that, it's the right to keep and bear arms, Illinois had to get about a law allowing for some kind of carry. And I tracked all of that and produced Gun-Free Zone, the movie, back over 12 years ago. So we'll review that Thursday evening. All right, so be sure to click like, subscribe, the notification bell, so that you get updated when we do live streams, when we post new content. And we'll be keeping you abreast to the situation, no question. Also, be sure to check out the merchandise. I know a lot of people have been wanting stickers, coffee cups, shirts, whatever the case may be. You can find that link just below on the YouTube channel. Click through and you'll see even more designs and more options. I'm going to get myself a computer backpack with my logo on it. So looking forward to getting all that into your guys' hands. Just in time for the holidays. Look at that. All right, I got to get out of here and finish up some home projects. Thanks so much for tuning in. An impromptu show this Wednesday morning. Had to get it out there with all the moving pieces there have been. So greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be back, I promise. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, click the notification bell, whatever you got to do to stay updated, all right? Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day.